5 simple and easy autocrafters you will need in Minecraft. Autocrafters can completely change how you play in so many different ways if you use them right, and with these 5 simple designs, you'll have everything you need to automate your world. I'll show you how to build compactors, expanders, shulker box, and dispenser crafters, along with a universal autocrafter that can make almost anything in Minecraft, and of course, all these builds work for Bedrock and Java Edition. If you want a full guide on how autocrafting works and all the logic and ideas behind it, then check out this video for a full breakdown on all the mechanics. Today's tutorial is to show you how to build some easy designs in your Minecraft world. Starting off with the simplest designs first, we have an automatic dispenser crafter, which looks incredibly simple because it is. Dispensers are the bane of everybody's life, especially if you are on a mobile device, and this one right here is going to make the bow for you. As you can see, it's got the bow recipe in there, and then this one up here has the dropper recipe in it, because this is going to put the bow in it, and then auto-craft you some dispensers. So every time you flick this lever, as you can see, it's going to shoot out dispensers for you. This is limited to 64 dispensers at a time, but it can save you a lot of hassle, and it doesn't make any droppers accidentally. To build this, you just need to place one crafter facing upwards and put in the bow materials, as you can see there, and then you just need another crafter facing really any direction that you want, and that one's got the dropper recipe in it. And then you simply get a lever on it, and bam, you can auto-craft yourself some dispensers. You can automate this with a clock if you want. We simply have a sticky piston facing downwards, and then 2 observers facing each other. Both of these crafters are facing upwards into a chest. However, you want to craft all of these at one time. If you turn this off and turn it back on a whole bunch, it is going to occasionally shoot out a bow or make an accidental dropper every now and again. Next up, we have a one-touch Shulker Crafter. So when you flick this lever, it's going to shoot out a brand new shulker box for you to use. Now, most people don't really have a full-on shulker farm, so this is probably the most you'll ever need for a shulker crafter, and honestly, you can simplify that down to just like one crafter and a button. But if you do happen to have a shulker farm, you can put some extra storage on the side of this using droppers, fill those up with shulker shells and some chests, and then anytime you need some shulker boxes, you can absolutely spam this thing and get yourself a ton of them on demand. Of course, building this is really easy. You just need a dropper facing downwards, a dropper facing to the right, one facing to the left, and then a crafter facing forwards with a lever on it. And then you fill up 2 of these with shulker shells and chests in the other one, and make sure there's 2 items in every slot of the crafter. That way it doesn't run out or get messed up. When it comes to the crafters in this video, I'm going to show them shooting items out into the open like this, but of course you could put a chest on the front of that, you could put a hopper line in front of it, you could do whatever you want with item storage. That's really up to you, but I'm just going to show it crafting items because it's fun to see them spit. Moving into more advanced and automated auto-crafters, we have the Compactor. This is great for any number of farms where you need to take a large number of items and compact them down. You can use this for things like iron farms, gold farms, slime farms, or even moss farms. So this is a 1 item type, 2 slot or more auto crafter. And as you can see, when we unflick this temporary lever right here, it's going to be turning all of our iron ingots from our iron farm directly into iron blocks for us. And it's just going to keep on automatically making these until it runs out of iron. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but really it's just limited by hopper speed. Time for a 30-second build tutorial. You want to start off with this shape right here. Install your crafter right here, a comparator behind it on subtract mode, redstone dust, turn around, and you want a repeater right here going into a solid block. You need a comparator right here going into that one, a temporary block right there with a composter above it, and then just spam this thing full of some sort of foliage so that it gets to the maximum layer. And now we're just going to put a temporary lever right here if you want to turn it off, a hopper going into the side of that with your storage of choice above it. You can turn off up to 7 of these slots inside of the autocrafter and it will still work, but most likely you'll be using all 9 for something like an iron farm. Now the opposite of that is an expander, and this allows you to turn bulk items into another type of item. So we can turn flowers directly into dye, for example, or we can take bone blocks and turn them directly into bone meal. This in combination with an expander is very powerful. So you could take all the bone meal from a moss farm and turn it into bone blocks. You could then transport that to your tree farm and turn it back into bone meal automatically just by using a compactor and an expander. This system in particular is a 1 item type, 1 slot crafters. Depending on what you're trying to craft, you might be able to get it to work for other slot counts. Like I can can get this one to make slabs. The imagination is really your limit for this, but this is also an incredibly simple build, and this one is actually 1 wide, as you can see here. So building this is incredibly easy. You need 2 blocks on either side, and then you can have some slabs in the middle. We're going to start with the auto crafter on the front here, and upper slab behind that, with 2 blocks right here, a block here, and then another block like that. You can remove that center one for this general shape. Now we need a comparator pointing into this block, redstone torch on the side of that one, and that one, redstone dust on that block, and these 2, and then a repeater right here. You can adjust this repeater to be slower depending on the recipe that you're trying to create, but generally 1 tick is perfectly fine for a 1-slot recipe. For the front, you want 2 hoppers going into this thing, just like so, and this right here is the hopper that you'll need to turn off if you want to stop the system. If you were to lock this hopper right here, then the clock would be on permanently as you have an item in there. And next up, we have the universal auto crafters. These are the most powerful types of crafters in Minecraft because they can basically make any item in the game. So of course we have a 1-slot crafter, which I've already showed you with the, compactor and expander. We also have the 2-type crafter. This can make things like prismarine or TNT or any item in the game that has 2 ingredients. And of course we have a 3-item type recipe as well. So this can make things like pumpkin pie or beacons or any other item in the game that also has 3 ingredients. Now the vast majority of items in Minecraft have 3 ingredients or less. There's only a couple of items that have 4 ingredients, and the most complicated thing in the game is rabbit stew with 5 ingredients, but you're probably not going to be auto-crafting these. So these incredible systems were designed by Kairu, and I had a little bit of input on the design, if I remember correctly, but basically we have 3 very nice features of this. So it'll automatically turn on when it has just enough items in there. It'll turn off when it runs out of any of the items, so even if we run out of shards or eggs, it'll turn off the system, and it will not craft unless those items get restocked. And of course, you can restock it using item filters or farms or whatever you want. We also have an automatic shut off for when it has crafted enough items and fills up your storage. That crafter would be facing directly downwards to use that feature. And this is also a tileable system as well, so you can build them directly next to each other, literally touching each other, and they will not mess up or interrupt each other. You probably won't be using this 1-item type crafter, but I designed it anyway because I kind of felt like it, and this is a Bedrock exclusive design, but you can build it just by looking at it. You can make this on Java Edition, however, due to a disparity in how redstone dust works, it's actually going to be a block longer. Otherwise, the entire system is basically identical and all the functionality is the same. You just need a slight tweak in the redstone. So I could show you how to build the 2-type universal auto crafter. However, I'm just going to show you how to build the 3-type, and if you don't need 3 ingredients, then you could just get rid of 1, and then it's really easy. So the 3-item type crafter has all the features of the 2-item type. It's just 30% better. And let's hop into the tutorial for the Bedrock 3-type universal auto crafter. These are all the materials that you'll need in my inventory right here. You'll need a 3 wide by 6 long area. It's going to be going 1 block beneath the ground and 5 blocks above the ground. We are going to have chests at the very top layer though, so make sure that your ceiling is a block higher. That way you can open those. You'll probably want more room above this even for item filters and whatnot. We're going to start off at the 3rd block end by placing in 3 activator rails right there, an observer in the middle facing upwards, a solid block right there, and then a crafter facing forwards. You need a hopper on the left and 1 pointing downwards, hopper on the right, 1 pointing downwards, hopper on the back, and 1 pointing downwards. We're going to put in 2 solid blocks right there, a temporary block, and then 3 slabs going across just like so. And now turn around, and we need to place in 3 comparators just like that. We need to place in 3 blocks right here on the ground layer, temporary block, and then 3 blocks going across like so, and some blocks directly above the comparators. Now grab yourself 2 repeaters. We're going to have 1 right here pointing into that hopper and 1 pointing into that hopper. While you're up here, go ahead and install your 3 double chests for item storage. And now we're going to grab some redstone dust. We need redstone dust in all 6 of these locations. Moving downwards, we also need redstone in all of these areas, and then 3 redstone torches on those blocks. To finish it off, we're going to place in a block right here with our on-off switch, and then we need the automatic overflow detection. So we're going to place in 4 slabs down here at the bottom, a lever right there, 2 pieces of redstone dust, and then a comparator on subtract mode right here. We're going to place in a double chest to the side, hopper behind it like so, and then another double chest right here. I'm sure there's ways to do this overflow detection better, but I made it in 5 minutes. Give me a break. To configure your system, you have to lay out the recipe how you want it inside of the crafter. As you can see, we have a shapeless recipe with the pumpkin pie, but normally you would have something like this for your sea lanterns or whatever else the case may be. This is an any slot crafter, so you can have it be from 1 slot to 9. You can have it be 1, 2, or 3 ingredients. If you're only going to be using this crafter for 2 ingredient recipes like TNT, then what you can do is simply remove this chest, these hoppers, that repeater, and basically just this entire side of the redstone right here. You don't need absolutely any of that, and that can save you some resources. And then this thing will still function perfectly fine as a 2-item type crafter. Or if you like symmetry, you can simply remove that middle slice and all the redstone that goes with it, but make sure that you still have a button right here to connect these 2 pieces of redstone, otherwise your system will break. And of course, if you want to tile this system, the next one will be going right next to it. It's the exact same build process, but on the very bottom here, you need to alternate between activator rail and powered rail. That way the 2 rail lines don't power each other. Building this on Java Edition is just a little bit different because of some differences in the redstone, and to be honest, it's a little bit janky, but it still works. To build this on Java Edition, you're going to need all these materials in my inventory right here. You're also going to need a 3 wide by 5 long area. We're going to be going 1 block below the ground and 6 blocks above the ground. Make sure there's room above your chest so they can open. We're going to start off with some activator rails down here in the bottom, a observer facing downwards right there, a piece of redstone dust above that, a solid block right here, and then a crafter facing forwards. We need a hopper into the left, and to the right, and into the back of it, and then we need a filler block on top of this. These can be barrels or chests, or you could just use some decorated pots if you want, and then we need hoppers facing downwards into all of those. Now we're going to place in some double chests on top of the system in all of these locations right here. Place in yourself a block right between all those hoppers with a lever on it for a manual on-off switch, and now we're going to install a couple of slabs at the bottom down here behind these hoppers. We need a comparator on that slab and a comparator on this one right here, and now we need to get 3 blocks in front of all of those like so. We're going to place in 3 more slabs in these locations right here with 3 comparators on top of all of those, and then a line of solid blocks in front of all those comparators, so it should look something like that. Now we're going to place solid blocks above all of these comparators right here, and then just fill in the rest of this area with some upper slabs. And once it looks like this, we just need to place in 6 redstone dust in these locations, and then 3 repeaters right here, and a piece of redstone dust on those 2 blocks. Now we're going to move down and place in 3 blocks right here with a bunch of redstone dust on top of absolutely all of it, and then 3 redstone torches in these locations. Now we need to place in a comparator right here on subtract mode, going into this solid block right here. That's going to power the rails to shut the system off once it overflows, and then we're going to place in 2 pieces of redstone dust right there, a lever right here, and then a double chest right here, hopper going down, and another double chest right there. And that's essentially it for the Java one. If you want to see how to configure this or how to make it a 2-type crafter, then you can check the earlier parts of the video. And if you want to tile this on Java Edition, you just build 2 of them directly next to each other. It's the same exact build process. Of course, at the bottom, you need to alternate between activator rail and powered rail. That way, these 2 rail lines don't power each other. You're also going to have a comparator right here for your safety shutoff switch, but if you were to have your lever right here, that would not actually work with this comparator, so we need to move our lever down to this block right here or something, put another piece of redstone right here, and then that's actually going to power both of these comparators, so you don't need redstone on this side. Now, the only problem with this is that this comparator is going to turn off this system before this chest is completely full. It's going to be like 95% full, but that should be fine. If you want a more in-depth look at auto crafting and all the mechanics behind it, and also a lot more variations of the designs that I showed you in today's video, then definitely check out this video, linked down in the description of the video and everywhere. But if you enjoyed today's tutorial, then drop a like, share it around, and subscribe so that you don't miss future tutorials. Thank you so much for watching.